All right, I need everybody to get your cameras because I'm about to do something that has never been done on a Woo stage. Seriously. Camera, either video or still picture. You ready? Come on. Okay, 1, 2, 3. First Woo burpee ever done. I think probably the first burpee done on a stage at any tech conference ever, right? So I'm a world record setting whatever already, right? Well, thank you for dealing with me. I do that all the time. I do that on planes. I do it while I'm waiting in airports, in the store, all kinds of stuff. So it's always something fun to get somebody's attention. So I'm going to start with a story. I come out into my garage a few years ago. How many have ever had a lemonade stand growing up? How many have ever bought lemonade from a lemonade stand, right? We all have done that, right? So I walk out, and this is in my garage. And if you can't read it, it says lemonade, 50 cents. And then down underneath it, it says, 5th customer gets their lemonade free. This is my 8-year-old at the time. And I'm thinking, I am one good dad. I have taught my son well. I'm a marketer. He is following in my footsteps. How awesome is that, right? He just knows how to, put a sale together and get some attention, that kind of thing. And then I think, what in the heck are we teaching our kids? That you have to discount and give lemonade away for free just to sell a 50-cent lemonade, right? Everybody's gonna buy your lemonade. You're cute kids sitting on the corner and it's hot and everybody buys lemonade. So I'm a little like, this is crazy. So what I thought is, what if instead he had a sign, and obviously maybe his design was a little less intense than mine, but maybe he has a sign that says, Nana's Famous Lemonade, free recipe with every purchase. And you notice up there it's $1 instead of 50 cents, right? So what if instead of selling that lemonade for 50 cents and giving the 5th one free, he added that value. He gave you something more than what you expected when you were going to buy that lemonade, and he made twice the money. Good stuff, right? That's what we're going to talk about today, is more about helping and adding value than just straight up selling. Because selling sucks. We're all sellers, right? At some point or another, we're all sellers, whether we're selling online, whether we're selling in person, whether we're selling over the phone, cold calling. Speaking of cold calls, my very first cold call, for those of you young'uns, that's actually a phone. Back in the day, right? So my very first phone call, my first business I started back in 2001, I had a whole script ready to go. I was good, and picked up the phone, called, introduced myself. Hi, my name is Matt. I'm with blah, blah, blah. Is the person who handles blah, blah, blah and she said, what was your name again? And I was like, click. I didn't even know what to say, right? I had the whole thing scripted out, did not go well. And you know why? Because cold calling and selling and traditional sales is like French kissing a total stranger. It'd be like me saying, hi, ma'am. My name is Matt. I'm 5'7", about 165 pounds. I'm originally from Texas, but now I live in Ohio. You want to make out? But that's what we do, right? I mean, that's traditional sales. We say, the second you come to the website, bam, here's my product. Here's my price. Here's my sale, right? We're trying to French kiss our customers before they even have a chance to know us. So it's all about perspective. So I know it's the afternoon time and it's getting long and everybody's looking forward to the after party, but I want everybody to stand up for me. I got a little test I want you to do with me. So you need a partner. You need one person to look in the eye that's somebody that's next to you. So find somebody. So here's what I'm going to do. Everybody needs to find somebody to look at. And when I'm going to count to 3. Everybody with me? I'm going to count to 3. And when I count to 3 and say go, you're going to snap your fingers 3 times. And then you're going to draw a capital letter E on your forehead while you're looking at the other person's eyes. We got it? So I'm going to count to 3. You're going to snap your fingers 3 times, and you're going to look at the other person in the eye and draw a capital letter E on your forehead. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. All right. How'd you do? You don't know. Have a seat. I'll tell you. All right. So if you drew your letter E with the lines going to the left, you win. How many people had that? That's pretty good. If you drew your E with your lines going to the right, boo for you. Because when I do my E with going to the left, I'm drawing my E so that that other person sees the E, right? So it's about perspective, and I'm looking at that and saying, this is your perspective instead of my perspective. So, perfect example, right? Somebody sees a 6, the other person sees a 9. What is it? It all depends on where you're standing, right? So what we want to look at is, how does that go from a perspective standpoint? Whenever we're dealing with customers, would you rather be helped or would you rather be sold? So I'm going to tell you a little story. This is Mrs. Average Customer. Mrs. Average Customer is comfortable in her zone. She kind of chills out in her field. She gnaws on her grass and she likes her herd. It makes her comfortable. And she just kind of does her thing. But every once in a while, she's not sure if she's doing the right thing or not. So she tries to go figure some things out. And there are awesome salesmen who love to help out Mrs. Average Customer. So Mr. Salesman comes along. He loves Mrs. Customer because Mrs. Customer is vulnerable. She needs something. He knows he's got something that he can maybe take a little bit of advantage. But before Mr. Salesman goes in for the sale, he kind of wanders by and he says, hey, don't mind me. I'm just kind of hanging out here. But boy, there's some nice grass over here. I think you might like it. Mrs. Customer, trusting this awesome salesperson who she knows is there to help her, wanders over and says, hey, what's going on? What's going on? And Mr. Salesman goes in for the sale. So it's sell, 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 sold, and back to the next customer, right? Does that sound like traditional sales? You ever been through that situation? You ever been average, Mrs. Average Customer, right? The downside of that scenario is that there are winners and there are losers. Typically the losers are the buyers, typically the winners are the sellers, but the buyer walks away feeling like a loser because they either walked away with something they didn't really need or didn't really want. Maybe they were pressured into buying something too soon. They didn't quite understand what they bought. They had buyer's remorse, whatever. But there's winners and there's losers in that scenario. So what I did was, there was a listing of 100 of top websites in the world. I looked at these websites, and what I found was 85% of them are French kissing their customers before they even know them. Meaning, when you come to the homepage of 85% of those top websites, what the world considers top websites, they are selling you something before you've even had a chance to get to know them. You get there and there's that offer, there's that deal, there's that special. Or if it's non-retail, it may be a industrial whatever that's making widgets, and it's all about us. It's all about we. It's all about our thing. It's all about our team. And hey, here's a picture of our product, or even better, here's a picture of our building, right? Those are the best kind. It's like saying, if you'd walk up to a conversation, right? We have all these nice little networking times, and you walk out and you'd say, hey, let's talk about me for a second. A little weird, right? But that's what every single one of these 85% of the websites are doing, because it's all about me, it's all about we. So I want you to go back, next time you get a chance, go back to your website and see how many times you use the word we and us and our instead of you and your and our customers, that kind of thing. So I dare you to start helping more than you're selling. Now, this is not an easy thing. It seems nice, right? Sure, nobody wants to be sold. We want to help people. It's all good. But It's not easy. It's not easy to convince your boss to say, hey, boss, I think it's probably better if we gave away a free ebook or a free video on the front page instead of highlighting our latest product and putting a big picture and a 50% off sale sign. It's not easy because it's different. It's different than what people are used to from a selling perspective, but from a consumer standpoint, and we've talked about and learned about all sorts of people that have talked up here about how people are buying and the way that the experience is changing and how much different the way that people go through the buying process now. And in fact, you might even be looked at a little bit funny because you're doing something different, and the way that you're doing it stands out from the crowd just a little bit, and it may just be a little bit weird, but the end result is happy customers because you're helping them through the process, you're educating them, you're walking them through and holding their hand through the buying process instead of slamming them with a sale the second they get in there, trying to make out with them when they walk in the door, that kind of a thing. And then what happens is you become the badass of your industry because you're the one making all the sales. Your sales increase, your bottom line gets better, your relationships and your customer retention is better because you've helped them, they've made a good decision there because you helped them through that process instead of just came across with a sledgehammer to try and sell them or like Mr. Salesman, eat them. So there's a guy named Jay Baer, I'm not sure if you're familiar, he wrote a book called Utility. I think you mentioned it yesterday in your speech. It's Y-O-U, utility. And Jay Baer's main concept, which is pretty much what I'm talking about here today, is be useful. Just be useful. When it comes down to it, bottom line is be useful to your potential customers, be useful to your existing customers, and even be useful to your vendors and partners. Think about that beyond just the sale, beyond just getting the bottom line and getting the numbers. So I was hoping to have a hard copy. This book is at the press as we speak. So I don't have any hard copies. I was going to give away a few. But what I do have is if you go to joltcms.com/stop-selling, I have the entire book online as a downloadable free PDF. And it talks about a whole lot of what we just did in 12 minutes in about a couple hundred pages. So, thank you.